Hello everyone, welcome to Taiwan Bar. Today let's talk about the Kominka period. In 1937, the Marco Polo Bridge incident erupted, marking the beginning of wars between China and Japan. Taiwan was also dragged into the fight without a choice. The Governor General of Taiwan swapped from military guys to office guys, and now swapped back to military guys. Swappity swap swap swap. The original plan of assimilation also juiced up, and tried to force the Taiwanese to transform into Japanese entirely. Today, let's talk about how the Taiwanese changed from westernized suits and ties into wearing kimonos and wooden clogs. So how did the Japanese Japanize Taiwan and turn people into loyal soldiers who fought wholeheartedly for Japan? Here we go! Japan, famous for its tale of Genji, was of course serious about educating the Taiwanese. First off, the national language movement. Bear in mind that the national language here is neither Taiwanese nor Mandarin, but Japanese, Nihongo. Aside from widely setting up institutes for the Taiwanese to learn Japanese, those who spoke excellent Japanese, Sugoi Komin, would also be awarded with a Japanese family plate by the Governor General, enough to make all your neighbors super jealous. After mastering Japanese, why not give yourself a Japanese name? Replacing Chinese names with Japanese ones was optional in Taiwan, unlike Korea where it's mandatory. So Li Denghui could be named Iwasato Masao, Ke Wenzhe could be named Aoyama Wenzhe, Zhang Jiajia would have been Gongchang Jialu Jialu, and Ling Chen would have been Kobayashi Jingjing. Huh? These Japanese family and Japanese name-changing awards not only made you look hot and cute, it also came with other perks. For example, kids who changed their family names and spoke Japanese could get into Japanese elementary schools easier. Their parents prioritized as civil servants, and the whole family could receive more food during war. For some people, nothing was more important than better food and their children's education. Any method was worth trying. Aside from names and language, religions and customs were also targets for change. The Governor General promoted Japan's Shinto. It dumped a bunch of Shinto shrines to replace Taiwan's folk religion, hoping to increase Taiwan's loyalty to Japan. They not only asked citizens to go to Shinto shrines regularly, they also required families to enshrine Shinto Onusa. So the ancestral tablets and statues of traditional gods that used to be in the living room were taken down, burned, and sent off to Neverland. Besides religion, traditional Taiwanese opera and puppetry were replaced by dramas in which characters wore Japanese costumes. Chinese columns in newspapers and Chinese classes in school were all banned and replaced by the Aeueo, pro-Japanese literature. With one after another Kominka movements, the Taiwanese had no choice but to become a good Komin, a good Japanese citizen. Shinto shrines built during the Japanese rule have also been happily kept to this day. Not! They've been knocked down by the government. Ruins of the Shinto shrines are now martyrs' shrines all over Taiwan. Hold on, let's clarify something real quick. Slogans like, join the military and open the door to infinite possibilities in life, people seem to think is a recent thing. Huh? The Kominka era was also a time of war. Taiwan as a colony, of course, was going to be dragged into this mess. Of course was going to happily join the Greater East Asia War. At first, the Taiwanese were only recruited as logistics corps, servicemen and translators. But as the Pacific War broke out due to a little pearl in 1941, the first group of armed Taiwanese soldiers appeared a year later. Of course, these were our beloved Aborigines. After the unforgettable USA incident, the Japanese learned how brave and fierce the Aborigines were. They were as badass as the Hulk. Should be easy to smash any enemy. So the Japanese took advantage of the Aborigines and put together the legendary Takasago Volunteers and sent them to smash in Southeast Asia. Afterwards, the Japanese government started an official recruitment, the rules for Special Voluntary Army. At first, they only wanted to test the waters and take 1,000 people, but instead, 426,000 people came. Huh? Yeah, 426,000 people! That's even more than the current ROC military force. Pick up your game, military brothers! Judging from the numbers, Taiwanese people seemed more eager to fight for Japan than fighting for Rihanna's concert tickets. This is as mysterious as why cats always block TV screens. In order to become that lucky 0.2%, these passionate boys composed letters with their own blood to show their determination to sacrifice for the nation. They sealed applications with bloody handprints or drew a Japanese sun flag with their blood. What unbelievable passion and creativity! After all that, it might seem like the Taiwanese have actually turned into Japanese. However, even though urban areas were like Japan's Komika factories, the great countryside was still full of Taiwanese language and life. In 1945, the day the Jewel Voice broadcast announced Japan's defeat, the older generation danced with joy, celebrating the return to the homeland. However, the youngsters born after the 1920s had fully received Japanese education, so they had no deep feelings for the past era. Instead, they were sad that the days were over and Taiwan had fallen to the enemy. This history reflected different national identifications by different generations. In Wu Zuoliu's novel, Orphan of Asia, the protagonist admired Japan's civilization while also bearing the abuse of Japanese colonization. When he set foot on China, he was treated as a spy. In the end, this tragic character went mad under all kinds of psychological conflicts. This ending reflects the dilemma the Taiwanese faced at that time, lost between China, Japan, and Taiwan, not knowing where they belong to or who they are. Dear audience, do you know who you are? Alrighty, after all that talk, I'm a bit thirsty. Let me finish this Shaoxing and we'll see you next time. Cheers! If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See ya!